Thank you, Cor. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. In 2005, in November, there was one tweet that went out which actually said, "We've just made history." And that was to see Barack Obama's social media campaign. And he did that via tweet. At that time, Twitter had about 5 million followers, and Facebook had about 150 million. And that was back in 2008. Today, Facebook has about 1.3 billion followers, and if Facebook was a country, it would be the size of China. So you're actually moving in very exponential times. And one of the very, very crazy things that certainly I have to do as a Minister of Youth and Culture is to recognize those times and contextualize the in-demand jobs that will be created, and to really teach our young people, and perhaps even from primary right the way up to university graduates, what that really means in an era of social media. So apart from being the undesirable of career professions, which is really a politician, you also have to temper that. So when Corp had asked me to speak today, it was why? Why do you possibly want me to come and speak to this event? I'm not only outside of your age group that uses social media, but I'm also a politician, and nobody typically wants to hear from politicians, particularly that group of young people and that nexus who uses social media. So I wanted to really convey to you a couple of things. One, social media has taken off in the political landscape as well. Gone are the days of perhaps JFK, when you were positioning JFK as a president, which is Camelot, family, handsome, etc. And you utilize TV campaigns and ads to be able to do that. And certainly when I was growing up, you had the same thing. Today, it's which politician or which news feed is actually fighting over the hashtag that is making policy. Perhaps in my situation, it's either chronics or a swimsuit or something else. And I noticed that the Keynote typically uses very sensational things about some politicians to sell their newspapers, especially their social media newspapers, but I digress. Here are the elements of social media that affects a politician's life. The first one is that today there are about 100 billion Google searches, and it really is the #1 search engine in the country, in the world. And this year you'll probably have about 5,000 new bits of information that are coming out. And even though I say 5,000 new bits of information, it's really called 3.5 zettabytes of information. That's more information in the world today that has been produced more than the previous 5,000 years. So there's a lot of information actually coming to people. The politician now has to position themselves in the realm of that possibility. And you look at a couple of things. One, you have to look at what is your voting population. So for those of us who have constituencies, and I have the largest constituency in the country, I border 7 constituencies, and I'm a 2-term MP, it's one, how do you increase your voter turnout? 2, how do you keep those voters that you had before, but also talk to those voters that you can't talk to on a regular basis, and you can do that via social media. Now, the other thing that you can do is do the same things that the media is doing, because for a politician, you can raise money online, but you also have to raise it via, you can raise smaller bits online with the users that use social media, but for the traditional media, those are where you have to position yourself so that the traditional persons who are seeing your work, etc., can say, well, she makes sense, or he makes sense, or this is somebody that we kind of like, or we feel touchy-feely with. The interesting thing about social media and a politician, though, is that it can make or break you. So try don't put any new pictures, make any derogatory statements. You have to temper your spontaneity and your emotions with very, very responsible posts and very responsible things to say. Now, a while back, when I was doing my master's in communications, I actually did a comparative analysis between the Keynote and the online Keynote back in about 2000, early. And at that time, online Keynote was in a very embryonic stage. And then I went to Singapore and Malaysia, and I looked at virtual technologies and how we could use them for teaching and learning. So this is something that I'm familiar with. So if I say politics don't work, I'll certainly go back into communications. But what is very, very interesting about it is just how it has developed so quickly. And it will continue to develop quickly, because in 2012 there were 80 million registered voters in the United States who actually used social media to get their political information. And I imagine that the same thing will happen in Jamaica come the next election, and it will continue to happen because young people want bite-sized information. So there's a lot of different things that it can do for the politician. There's a lot of things that it can do also for young politicians, because those of us who have to survive in a realm of an already blood sport industry have to also carve out a niche for ourselves. And typically, the easiest way to sometimes do it is in social media. Now here's where the rubber hits the road. It hits the road because you could position yourself in social media as a politician, but if they don't like it, they just don't like it. So there's a sincerity in what you do as well, which will determine how your social media following actually likes you or dislikes you. And one of the things as a politician, you can't be afraid of criticism. I tell people that criticism actually makes me stronger, because you have to know what people are thinking, especially as it relates to children, as it relates to your constituency. When they cuss you about the road, when they say you're not doing nothing, you have to still be able to navigate those things, answer it, and be honest about it. So if you never get to fix the road, fess up to it. If this is what is happening in terms of child abuse, acknowledge it, but say what is actually happening. But the other thing that people want to see is, just like a brand like CB or the Keynote, the politician today is a consumer brand. Whether we want to believe it or not, they want to see what you're wearing, they want to see how you're carrying yourself, they want to see how you speak, all of those different things. So you have become a brand. And whether it is the brand of your party or not, you can actually become very neutral in the minds of people depending on the social media platform that you use. So my hands-on go-to social media platform is Instagram. It's easy, it's visual, it's easy, and you don't have to spend a lot of time on Instagram, and you can check it when you need to. Snapchat I won't get onto, because Snapchat, the age group, I really don't need my son at 14 looking at certain things. Perhaps when, in another 3 or 4 years. But I don't think also Snapchat will actually get to a level where people are using it in politics. I think if you want to do smear campaigns or propaganda campaigns, Snapchat is the right thing to use, because the things disappear. Now, I'm not that kind of politician, so I certainly wouldn't be using it. But I think in terms of Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, those are the choices that people are using now. And I don't think we will get to the realm of even discussing the things of internet voting or the like, and we don't have the platforms yet or the legislation to actually give money online for campaigns. And with the legislation, you can't spend too much money on elections. You can only spend $2 million in real terms. Just to let you know that elections don't really cost $2 million, they cost more. But you can actually navigate it and use it to your best advantages. So I came through just to let you know that get involved in politics as well. It's not an easy profession. It's not something that a lot of people look at. It requires a lot of stealthy stratagem. People, I think, look at me sometimes and think, well, she makes it look easy. It's a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour job. You have a constituency to run, you have a ministry to run, and there are wheels within wheels, and you always have to be ahead of even your own internal political opponents. And so there's a lot of things that go into the ability to survive it and to go forward in it. And I think social media has also helped to get your messages out, because certainly that helps to cushion some of the other things that are out there, and you also can have another conversation in social media while the traditional media is having a completely different conversation. So typically, you always have two different realms of possibilities, or even several going on in your life as a politician. The last thing I would add here is 22 years ago when I won Miss World. At that time, there was not even an internet. There was when the information superhighway came out in I believe 1994, 95. Things were a lot easier back then. So I actually led a protest at Miss World, and I walked all of the girls off the stage, and we had a sit out. If there was social media today, everybody would have known that. It would have been filmed, it would have been posted, it would have been tweeted. Miss Jamaica is a revolutionary, we don't know what we're going to do with her, etc. But it happened. Jamaicans didn't know it happened, but it happened. So you can actually see the progression of how things work in social media. So certainly from my perspective, I don't know, I see how you all use it in terms of your brands, but there are also not a lot of people who use it in the political realm either. I've been fortunate to have a following on Instagram, and have a following on Twitter, and have a following on Facebook, which are good followings, and I don't take it for granted. But not a lot of politicians use it, and I really think that they should. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a really successful conference. Congratulations, Corp and the team. And I enjoyed listening to all of you and what you had to say. So thank you.